Jim said, "Oh my God. For a moment I thought you were going to drink his blood." "I was tempted for a moment, but I managed to control myself," Rick said. The kids started. They all looked over to the dock. A large white boat pulled up next to the private docks. At the same time, several cars stopped at a corner of the harbor and several people got out. After a while, the workers began to unload the cargo from it. The usual crowd of customs officers appeared. When they reached the cargo and the boat, a man in a gray suit entered into conversation with them. Jordan was standing next to him, listening to their conversation. The man gave them some documents along with one of the bottles. They looked at the documents and the label on the bottle but didn't seem satisfied, and they randomly went to several different packages and pulled out a few bottles. The two officers got into the boat, and when they returned, the senior officer signed the papers. The man gave them the same bottles as a gift. After the officers left, the workers resumed their work. The man smiled and patted Jordan on the shoulder. Jones looked thoughtfully at the boat and said, "Could this be a scam? And they're unloading the main cargo somewhere else." Jim turned his head to the cars and the people standing next to them and watching the unloading from a distance and said, "I don't think so, and what else are those cars here for? Another boat that's not docked for them to go to." Kate said, "We want bottles that contain liquid cocaine. We can't test all those bottles one by one, unless they separate the liquor and cocaine in the hold." "Can you go to the hold, Daya?" "Yeah," Jones said, "we should take pictures of them. But there's not much where they won't notice. The pictures don't come out well either." Rick pointed in a direction and said, "Those containers, I think they'll be fine. But be careful, no one sees you. Not the port officials or Jordan or those people." Daya turned to Jones and said, "Go, I'll take care of you." Jones smiled and walked towards the containers. Daya also disappeared. And a moment later she appeared on one of the containers. And in an instant, she lifted Jones up on top of them. Kate put a hand on her neck and said, "Her power, both fascinating and very scary. I was about to have a stroke. Next time I won't ask her to show me her powers." Rick laughed and said, "Don't be so hard on her. Daya uses packaged blood. For whatever reason she doesn't want to drink blood from humans." Jim said, "We better watch our surroundings." Jones, quickly after setting up the camera, began to take pictures. As soon as they turned their heads in that direction, he hid himself in the shelter of the containers. He couldn't see Daya, but he could clearly feel her presence and that she was standing near him, watching over him. He heard her say, "Could you take pictures of them all?" Jones nodded and said, "Yes, although it was a bit rushed." Then he looked at the pictures. They were generally acceptable. Jones said, "Can you go to the warehouse?" Daya became visible and nodded. Jones took a silenced gun from the holster under his coat and said, "If necessary, I'll keep the way open for you at the cost of a fight." Daya disappeared with a smile. Jones said into his headphones, "Daya went to the warehouse. It was necessary. I have her air from here." Everyone replied, "Received."